Hello and welcome to my channel. I am ZodiacBandit, and oh boy, let's get into this one. I'm recapping Critical Role Campaign 3, Episode 34. This is a doozy. This one is something else. I'll get into my feelings on it at the end. Just for simplicity's sake, we're going to recap first like normal, and then I'm going to talk about it at the end. So, we open with FCG after Imogen's nuclear explosion in the last session. We open with FCG, who is seeing their past. Dancer and the other automatons in their group. They see meeting Ashton and seeing an old floating city memories with other metallic people rejoicing. A man they dislike and a woman that makes them feel good before they are gone too. After that, we cut to a different memory, which is Chetney, where we see him with countless people and then them filling in gaps of sadness with their work. Then Chetney looks at the red moon, which is Rudis, and a red beam comes from it, changing Chetney into a beast, making him embrace his beast form. We then go to Ashton as a child, and we see their mom and their father as she hands him a mask. We then go to Laudna. We see her back home when she is alive with her family at a dinner table, a long dinner table with the Dark Lord and Dark Lady. She meets eyes with the Dark Lady, and that stare never ends. Delilah says she will endure in Laudna and will one day return. Then Imogen feels like she's about to explode. She's walking and then trips over something, and then someone grabs her arm. Her mom picks her up, wipes the tears off her face, and then looks away from her, and then looks back. And when Imogen opens her eyes, she sees Odahan, cracked all up her body just like her. Odahan calls her a predator like the others. Odahan tells her that she's impressed. Imogen hears her mom tell her to run, like she did in her dreams. Imogen tries to run, but wherever she goes, Odahan is there. Odahan tells her to create something beautiful with this new power that she's unlocked. Imogen tries to kill her, and she blasts Odahan away, sending her flying. This ends the endless white void. Rocks land all around her. The buildings are no more, and there is a crater where she stands. Her friends then appear, as they were before. Laudna is next in turn order. She has to roll her last death saving throw, or she's dead. She rolls after a bit of tension and deciding which dice she's going to use. And natural one. We have now lost Laudna as well as the others. Laudna thinks of the strong women in her life, Delilah being the last one that she sees. And she tells her death is just a waiting game. Now it's FCG's turn. Sam asks if FCG would know if someone is dead or not. Matt says yes, you would understand what someone looks like when they're dead. Then Sam asks if FCG would know if Fern has the capability to revive people. Matt says that's up to him. FCG goes to Fern, as they have seen her heal before. But FCG can't reach in this action or this turn, and chooses not to hold the spell, as if the body can't reach her or reach them, then the spell will be lost, and that is it for all of them. So, FCG chooses to dash towards Fern's body. Ashton is up and sees the chaos and turns back and runs toward their friends. Chetney is up and sees Imogen has cracks even further up her arms and looks for enemies. He doesn't see any. Mr. is still there now. Last episode Matt said Mr. was gone, but apparently it's until the wild shape ends, Mr. will still be around. So then Chetney goes over and holds up Orm and asks Imogen what happened. Imogen calls out to Laudna, outside her head and inside her head, and then goes looking for her once she doesn't answer. She finds her underneath the ruins of a building and runs over to her and tries to dig her out. Now it's FCG. This is the moment of truth. They cast Revivify on Fern, whispering, "Please don't leave us." The ritual is started. FCG talks to her and says, "I know your family has not been easy for you, and I feel like you're making a new one with us. I want to help you. I want to help you be well again, and I think you would break all of our hearts by leaving us, and I need you to stay. FCG then rolls a 10, which is literally the baseline of what they needed to bring her back. Fern feels a sense of hopelessness. As she's about to give in, she hears FCG's words and looks back and sees a green moon. A blackened hill with eyes cold looking straight through her. She says she's not ready for that quite yet. She turns back toward FCG and sees a ladder. It pulls her and it turns into a light hand. And then after a couple of seconds of it being a hand made of light, it turns into a hand made of metal. FCG is delighted to see her, and she tells FCG that she'll stay and they need to calm down. FCG tells Fern she has 30 seconds to save Orum's life. Ashton runs to Imogen and tells her to call Hexam and says they'll do anything. Tell her I'll do anything. Chetney picks up Orum and moves his body to Fern and FCG. Imogen and Ashton clear the rubble on top of Laudna. Imogen reaches into her bag and gets a gnarl rock and says, "I know you're in there, bitch," and places the rock on Laudna's chest, hoping Delilah will do something with it. Fern says, "What do you mean Orum is dead?" And then Orum is placed next to her by Chetney. Chetney says, "Please tell me you can do something." But Fern doesn't have any diamonds. So she calls out for help, and Ashton has some. They're running out of time. FCG goes halfway to meet Ashton if need be. Ashton then asks what to do. Ashton then grabs Laudna and dashes towards the others. Chetney moves Orum to the group. Imogen walks to the group as well. Fern then moves to the group. Now they need to choose. But they can't seem to pick how to pick who they're going to revive. They seem to be low on spell slots to be able to bring back both of them. They choose to flip a coin, and FCG gives Fern the coin that they received from Joe. Imogen sends a message to Delilah and says you better bring her back. She knows she wants to be in this world and to bring her back. Delilah says she can't bring her back, but she wants her to bring her back because she knows that right now they can bring Laudna back. Fern flips the coin and doesn't show anyone else who it landed on. She then turns to Laudna and says they'll find a way to get her back. She then turns to Orum and casts Revivify, asks him to come back because she's getting a little scared and she needs his help. She rolls a 17. Orum feels the tension pass. There's a calm. There's a peace. He's in Zephyra. He feels a presence he hasn't felt for a while and sees Will. He wants to stay with him, but he hears Fern's words. He looks up into a beam of light and feels torn. Will and him lock eyes. Will tells him he's not done yet. Orum wants to stay and misses Will. Will says there will be a time where he can stay. Orum says to tell Will to tell Derek he says hi and to give him a hug. They then hug. Orum feels a great warmth before being thrown up into the light by Will and is now back to life. He sees Fern's face. Fern explains that Laudna is gone, and this is when Marisha leaves the table. Imogen holds Laudna. Ashton opens up the hole and jumps in and asks if Armand Tresci can help, but he can't. So then they close the hole back up. Ashton says they need to call people. Orum goes off over to the side and starts getting help from random people. The sandstorm ends. They hear the Paragon's call begin to rumble. They pick up Laudna and begin to run away. Matt calls for break. So, I was going to wait until the end, but I did want to discuss a few things. At the time, while they were playing, they said they only had 2 diamonds. They said that a handful of times, even though they picked up 3 from Ira's chest back in episode 31, I believe. So theoretically, if they have the correct amount of spell slots, they could have brought Laudna back. However, last night on Twitter, I was going through because I wanted to see what everyone's reaction was to all of this, because if they were thinking the same way I was, which in my head, in my last video I made, I don't think, or I didn't think, there was a moment where Fern used 2 of her 3 level 3 spells. Turns out that was wrong. She only had 1 left. They have the correct amount of diamonds, but they don't have the correct amount of spell slots, which is something that I didn't know. So there was a bunch of... I saw it too. I was mad because I thought they had all 3 and they still had spell slots left. But somewhere along the line, Fern used 2 of her level 3 spell slots that she had after using Hold Person or something in the last one. So they didn't have the correct amount of spell slots. So no matter what they did, Laudna was gone. And for people who... There are people that I saw kind of mad that they picked Aurum over Laudna because of Laudna being a far more interesting character, to which I agree. However, I do want to point out, Fern played it brilliantly in character. Sorry, Ashley played it brilliantly in character. Fern would 110% pick Aurum first. Out of everyone there, Aurum is the closest friend she has. They literally sleep together every night. And while they've gotten close to Laudna, Aurum is the total logical option. The fact that she even flipped a coin to give Laudna a chance is all those fans who are complaining about it need. Truly, in my opinion. And even then, she flipped a coin, and there's a headspace you get into when you flip a coin. Because if you choose 2 things, flip a coin and it lands on one thing and you don't really want it, the other one was what you wanted in the first place. So if that's what ended up happening, and she just decided, screw it, I'm picking Aurum because that's what I want, then I don't see why anyone should be upset by this. So there was a bunch of confusion about the diamonds, the spell slots, and who she chose. And I think we need to give them all the space. It is a tense moment, hard choice, and they honestly, friggin' Ashley played it brilliantly in my opinion. Well done. And it was the right call. It was 100% what, what Fern would have done. So to me, this was correct. So after this, the break ends, and the party choose to go to Joe. They get there quietly. They move relatively quiet as they see people looking for what just caused this crazy explosion right near the Seat of Disdain. Aurum looks for people, and he sees some people moving about at the, now that the storm is ending. They knock on Joe's and are greeted by one of Joe's workers, but they push past him and see Joe sitting down, waiting out the storm. They open up the hole for Armand to let him breathe because they only have like it's 10 minutes of breathing in there, maybe less, and Chetney immediately ties him up. They apologize to Joe as they have now put him in danger. Aurum and Chetney look out for people, and if anyone has seen them go into Joe's, and they don't see anybody. They both roll really high. Joe sees Laudna and asks what they're into. FCG tries to explain, but Treshy cuts them off and says they kidnapped him. But they say that's probably small time at the moment. Joe asks if they were followed. Aurum says probably not. Joe says that's not good enough and opens up a hidden trap door that leads to a storage room and tells them to get in. Joe says he'll do what he can, but after a certain point, he must protect the people in his life, which is very respectable. At the back of this hidden storage room, Chetney finds a door that leads somewhere else. It's kind of hard to see, very well hidden. Chetney unlocks it as there's a mechanism that latches it closed on the other side, and it leads to the same or similar caves as during the Death Wish run. They ask Armand what he did to end up like this and if he was a prisoner or if he was a guest, to which he says yes. He explains that he did it all to get the Paragon's call to be allowed inside the city of Jushar, as it would help him move up the ranks in his city, his family, and the Quorum. And he also believed that the Quorum weren't doing their job. There was lots of crazy stuff happening, and he wanted to show that they weren't going to do their stuff anyway, which is why he ended up working with Ira. Fern asks if he knows why they needed all this to happen, why the Paragon's Call needed to be involved in all this, other than, to help him. He says no. Fern sees right through this. FCG spins his buzzsaw at him, and it kind of gets stuck and doesn't intimidate him. Ashton tries to intimidate him, but it doesn't work either. Orm then stabs him in the foot and pushes him back in the hole. Orm tells him that he is usually the peaceful one, and he needs to start talking now. He tells them that he doesn't truly know what their intentions are, it's just that he thought that they had a deal, and he thought he was about to get out of it, and his name was going to be cleared, but he truly believes that that probably wasn't going to happen. The party choose to then open the crates that they stole from the Paragon's Call. In the broken one, there is a few potions that they don't know what it is yet, but there is a gray floating substance in it that seems to ignore gravity for a minute. And then there is the black box that has a lock on it that Chetney makes a lock-picking tool out of wood, rolls really high, and is able to open it without setting off the trap. He is currently inside the cave doing this to not make anyone explode. And inside of it, there is a glass vial with green dust inside of it. Orm says this is residuum. It is a magic component replacement and a magic amplifier, but it's only found in Whitestone, so it being here is concerning. They ask Joe to make a lead box to store it in to protect themselves and to make sure no one else tracks it. Ashton at this point is hard set on getting Laudna back, and Imogen is right there with him. That is the top priority as far as they are concerned. They go over who they can reach out to, and the people they come up with is Lord Esteros, Keyleth, and the Derolos. After this, they choose to rest in the storeroom as they need to get their spells back. The first watch is Orm, who hears Joe and the others working on the box, and they play some sort of music to sort of set the mood for them working. Second is Chetney, who hears people come into Joe's workshop. They ask Joe if they've seen the party. And the reason they've come to him is because they did business with him in the past, which was the Death Wish run and getting the bikes and all that. So they have reason to believe that they were here. Joe says no, and the call members start to look around the place. The party move to the exit door, which leads to the cave system. They use it to hide. As the call members see the dust is different on a certain part of the floor, and ask Joe to open the hatch door. They look around, but because of Imogen, who hid their party's tracks, they didn't see them. The Paragon's Call members leave, and the rest of their rest is uneventful. The next morning, Imogen is happy that she didn't have a dream where Laudna walks into the storm like Bertrand did. FCG and Chetney talk about the day before. FCG thanks Chetney for trying to help. FCG gives Chetney a wooden toolbox. It's not well made, or anywhere near as good as what Chetney would make, but it's the thought that counts. Chetney also gives him a clock with emotions on it to sort of let everyone else know how FCG is feeling because they don't have a face to make emotions with. After this, FCG ritual casts gentle repose on Laudna to keep her body from decaying. After this, Chetney asks Imogen how she's doing about all this, and she said she's sad, obviously, but she says that she used to think the cracks on her arm were a bad thing until she used them to help Laudna when they first met, but now she thinks they're a bad thing again as it led to all of this, and she is sorry because she feels that she is to blame for all of it, because Odahan went after her, and then she ran, and then no one else ran, and then she just feels that all of it was a snowball effect because of her and her powers and her connection to Odahan and Ruidus. But then everyone tells her no, that she's the reason that they're still alive, that all of them are still alive, and that not all of them are like Laudna. Chetney also looks to her and says that, the only person that truly understood Imogen's strength was Odahan, which gave her a big advantage. After that little conversation, which cheers Imogen up a little bit about the situation, she still definitely feels the most amount of guilt on her. She also tells the others about her memory and how she saw her mom, but is shocked because she thought her mother was never around from the minute she was born, but the memory says otherwise. Ashton then asked if anyone else had dreams/memories. Chetney said he saw some old flames. FCG brings up the fact that they saw floating cities and past from before the calamity. Ashton also talks about their dream. They tell the party about their parents and the mask and the helmet within the dream, and how the same helmet was the one that they found at the Twilight Museum long ago in the beginning portion of the campaign. But this helmet has something to do with a ritual based around elementals or elements, and Ashton remembers people being sent flying because of said ritual, and this is more into his backstory. He wasn't always an orphan, it seems, which created some confusion for some. And I apologize, I just said he a bunch. I mean their. This is more to their backstory and their history, which is exciting because I want to learn a lot more about them and their past. After that, they reach out to Xandis, tell them to pick them up outside the city. Xandis said they'll be there in half a day. The party then reach out to Esteros. Imogen tells him that they have Armand, but Laudna is dead, and they want to know if he knows anyone that can help with this. Esteros says that it's unfortunate and is a byproduct of these kind of things, and he will try to find someone, but this kind of magic is rare. FCG then calls out to him because Imogen forgot to tell him that Odahan was after him, and then Esteros responds with, he'll be ready. He knew this day would eventually come, and to bring Laudna to him, he'll do what he can to revive her. Ashton kind of notes at this point that Esteros just said, like literally 2 seconds ago, that he probably can't help, but now to bring Laudna to him, but then everyone else reinforces the idea that it's not suspicious in any way, that it's just, you know, he's going to do his best, to which Ashton relents. The party pack up, they pay Joe for everything that they've done, thank him, and Ashton says if there's anyone else that's around from the Greymore house, tell them that I'm looking for them, which is interesting. The party then moves toward the outskirts of the city stealthily. They avoid people looking for them, and some, different gangs seem to eye them but don't go after them. Once they're outside of the city, they see the skyship off in a distance, but they're a little far away, and it might lead to some crawlers chasing after them, to which Imogen messages Xandis to tell them to come closer, and as the skyship moves in, some crawlers move in to check it out because it's very rare to see, and the same one just came in a couple weeks ago, or a week ago now, however long they've been there. The ship gets close enough to the party and drops some ladders and continues to move to avoid the crawlers as they are getting shot at. Everyone gets on with no problem, with the exception of Ashton and Chetney. Ashton gets kind of smushed between a building and the ladder, and then Chetney just straight up misses with a natural 1, but Imogen casts Fly on him, and he is able to fly up above this guy and is very excited about it, and they're all able to get on the ship. The party, now on the ship, begin to make their way back to Jushar to regroup with Esteros to figure out what to do next. That's the end of this very sad episode. Laudna was my favorite character, so this is rough. I truly now empathize with the Mollymock fans. This sucks, and the only thing I could think of was how empty the top table looked compared to the bottom table. There's 2 people up there, 4 people down there, and it, super sad to see Marisha, the person who I truly believe is the best role player, not be at the table, and it not be for some sort of gig she has. It truly hurts to see her not there, and it truly hurts to think that Laudna might not come back. One thing I do want to point out is Matt made a very weird comment after the Gentle Repose was cast on Laudna, which is that she will rest for 10 days, which I believe is part of the spell, but he made it sound like something was off about it, that if they hadn't have done that, maybe she'd be back, or she will come back. And if there is a character that if you want to pull like some sort of ass pull for them to come back to life, it's fucking Laudna. She's a hollow one or hollowed one. She's already dead. She has a friggin' briarwood in her head. I think it's totally... I don't think it's... It's totally fair, in my opinion, for that specific character to come back if they have some sort of spiritual journey within their own death space or whatever, right? I do believe that she would have to earn coming back, but I do think that that's the character that if you wanted to ass pull something, that's it. That being said, I'm devastated. Laudna was truly my favorite. Marisha truly grew into the best role player at the table. I think Liam and her are very closely tied, and it made sense, Fern doing what she did. And at the time, I was very peeved because I firmly believed that she had the spell slots, and they totally have the friggin' diamonds for it. They picked up 3. They never lost one. To my knowledge, they never lost it. But apparently, she used the spell slot, so it doesn't matter. Even if they had a 3rd diamond, it wasn't possible. Which, you know, and it seems to me the party is hardcore set on getting her back. And it's not like a moment with Mollymauk where half the party was already gone, so it was kind of impossible, and they kind of went past the point of no return for getting their body. They couldn't gentle repose it. So Mollymauk had to stay dead. Laudna has a chance. So I'm very excited about this idea. I'm terrified at the idea that they call Keyleth because, you know, that's... I made a video about that a while ago. Go watch it. But I'm terrified of that prospect for many reasons. I am terrified about them calling the Derolos for many reasons, for the same sort of issues I have about Keyleth, but less so because she can do a lot more damage than they can. So, all in all, I hope Matt comes up with something for Esteros to do to bring her back, if at all. And I really hope Marisha doesn't bring a new character in until Laudna is past the point of no return. If Laudna can't come back, that's when Marisha introduces a new character. I don't want to see Marisha unless it's Laudna, unless there's no chance. So that's all. That's all I'm going to say. Fantastic episode. Heart was pounding from the beginning to the end. I was feeling all sorts of emotional roller coaster things. And yeah, great episode. Even with my favorite character of the Bells dying, still really enjoyed every second of it. Really, really hurt watching Marisha leave. So I think that's a sign of something that you enjoy, because if it hurts to see something be taken away from it, you enjoy the full package. So yeah, I definitely enjoyed the show this episode. So yeah, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Let me know what you guys thought about this one down in the comments below. And yeah, see you guys Tuesday. Peace.